Great day to be a racer. We've that's exactly what we did. We wrapped up last week's game. We're done. We're over that. Had a team meeting yesterday and talked about some of the things that we need to improve on. And man, today's a brand new day, and that's how we're approaching it. Man, it's a great time of year right now because now we're in conference play. We've got 8 weeks in a row here where we're going to play really, really, really good football, really, really good opponents, and not to diminish anything from the first 3 weeks, but all of these matter now. There is no freebies, no free passes or anything like that. We've started off this season and played 3 really, really good football teams, which is good. Coincidentally, SEMO has started off this year and played 3 really, really good football teams. And you've got 2 teams that are both very similar heading into the first week of conference play. So it ought to make for a very, very good opening week for us for conference play.
How much does it help with kind of team morale, knowing that you still have your entire conference schedule in front of you, given what's happened in the first 3 games of the season?
Yeah.
There's still lots to play for.
Yeah, our team morale's good. Our team morale's good either way. Man, I tell you what, man, I've got a tremendous staff that does a great job with these players. We came in yesterday and had some discussions as a staff about things that we needed to improve on and just different ways of thinking about some things because we've got so much inexperience, and different things of just the way that the way that you talk to these guys has to be different. They don't understand a lot of football language and stuff like that. So we sat down and we had some conversations about how we're going to treat practice and things that we're going to do moving forward. And we went back there with the kids and talked to our players. And man, they're an awfully hungry bunch now. And the best thing about this group of players is I think that they understand that they did not play very well. When you go back there and you point some things out on film, you're not getting kickback. You're not getting guys who are going, well, Coach, I didn't know this or I can't make that play. It's yeah, Coach, I did not do very well. And when you have that, at least you have a good foundation to build on. And obviously that's what we're trying to do right now. It's no secret that we're trying to build a foundation, trying to build a culture, especially with over half of our roster being brand new. And we talked a lot about the biggest thing that we have to do is we have to understand what we call vision of play is. Okay, our vision of play, and what that means is what do we want people to see, talk about. Say that we're about what is our MO as a football team, okay? And right now, I don't think anybody could say that. You couldn't go watch us play and say, man, they really do this well, or man, I can tell that they put a great priority or emphasis on this. And ultimately, that's my fault. That is my fault because I don't know if I've explained it to our players very well, and maybe I did not explain it to my staff that well. And those are some things that we're going to get corrected and that we're going to do moving forward is everything that we do has to revert back to and get in line with my vision of play, what I want this football team to look like when we take the field and what I want people to say when they leave the stadium about what our football team looked like. And the best thing about that is everybody's vision of play is different, okay? Alabama has a vision of play. If you watch them, you're going to say that they have certain characteristics that that they do very well. On the flip side of that, Clemson is exactly different. Okay, they're very different. They're flashy, they're fast, they're aggressive, and things like that. But both of them met in the national championship last year. They're very good, successful football teams, okay? But when you watch those teams, they have a personality. They have a vision of play. And right now, with us being so new and our roster being so new, we have no personality. We've got to figure out what our personality is, and we've got to show that on tape. We have to be able to, for people to come watch us play and go, man, I really see their personality as a football team. I understand what they're trying to do, what they're trying to get accomplished, and just having those conversations yesterday, I feel tremendously better about where our players are at, about the psyche of our football team, where we're at collectively as a program right now.
What do you want your team's personality or vision play to be?
Great question. Fast, aggressive, learnably dynamic, meaning we look more sophisticated than we are because we are so new and we're so young. You can't. I'll be honest with you. It's we did the onside kick there at the end, and I was going to continue to do onside kicks from that point forward. But it was so funny. We lined up. They called a timeout. So then we huddle up, and I remember Coach Johnson. He tells the kids, he says, "Hey, this time we're going to kick it to the 4-man surface." Those kids, they had no idea what 4-man surface means. It's just where we had 4 people at. That was all we were saying. But just simple things like that, you have to tone some things down and make it as learnable as possible. But with that being said, you guys should be like, man, y'all do an awful lot of stuff. You look like you're very dynamic in what you do. Right now I think we look slow. We look conservative, very cautious. Okay, whereas I want us to play with care but not play with caution. Okay, obviously we can't just go reckless abandon and do stupid things, but at the same time, I don't want to coach caution. Perfect example. We kneeled 2 or 3 kickoff returns the other night, almost on the goal line. Our knee was almost on the goal line. That's not us. That's not me. Okay, I want those athletes to go be athletic and go make plays and take that thing out of the end zone when we have a chance. Now, obviously, when we were playing Illinois, hey, if you get kicked in the end zone, stay in the end zone. Let's take it, on the 20, and let's go about our business. But things like that are things that we've got to, moving forward, I've got to do a better job of letting those guys know this is what I want this to look like. We're way too conservative. We're way too slow. We react. Our reactions are slow. We're just constantly thinking, and we're very, very unsure about some things. And your practice plan goes into that, how we go about planning practice, the amount of reps we're going to take, and things like that. It all has to revert back to that vision of play of what we want ourselves to look like when we take the field.
What's the percentage chance that KD's back in quarterback?
He'll be back. He could have played last week. Our plan for him was we let him throw Wednesday. I think he threw about 25 passes, not including warm-ups. Thursday morning he woke up and was kind of stove up and stiff. So basically I made the executive decision to hold him just because it was a non-conference game. And to be honest with you, I needed to see what I had behind him just because moving forward, Cam Burse is always going to have to be ready. Okay, KD is got a little AC sprain. It's nothing major or anything like that, but it's going to be something that will not go away the rest of the season. It's not going to go away. So it was very, very good to see. I'll be honest with you. Somebody asked me what the bright spots were, after the game, and I told them the only bright spot I saw was the fireworks after the game. After watching the film, I think Cam Burse was an extremely bright spot for us. The way that he went in there, threw the ball, stood in the pocket, did some things, made some checks, and some things like that. I was very, very encouraged by the way that he handled his first career start.
Coach, as far as SEMO is concerned, they've got some pieces back from last year.
Yeah.
McCullough's the big one. Where are you guys game planning this year to try and prepare for their running attack?
Yeah, man. They do a tremendous job. They're heavy. They're heavy sets. They do a lot of unbalanced formations and heavy sets and tight ends, which is very hard for a team like us to generate in practice or simulate in practice. Because we don't have a lot of those bodies laying around. So that's going to be kind of tough on us from a defensive standpoint. Is simulating those big sets and those tight ends coming off the ball and some things like that. But they're a really good football team. I'm posting up right now. we're posting up the scoreboard from last year's game. That was one of the games last year where I thought we really, really did not play very well. And just did not play very well last year. And it was one last year that really kind of, just crawled on me the wrong way because I didn't think that we played very well last year. So obviously we're going to put that all around the building and let the guys who, the small percentage of guys who were here last year to remember that game, we're going to make them remember it. But Coach Toot does a wonderful job over there. They got a new quarterback, which I thought the one they had last year was really, really good. So for this guy to now be the starter, he must be something else. Obviously, I haven't got a chance to watch him very much other than SIU. I saw them on offense watching SIU's defense, so I know a little bit about what they do. And then from a defensive perspective, just what they do, the way that they structure their defense and their fronts, you have to do some different things in the run game, protection-wise, and things like that to make them, very very tough to stop.
Speaking of the running game, what's it going to take for that to break out coming into conference play?
Man, it's like I just said, we've got to become more learnably dynamic, and what I mean by that is we've got to do some things to create some angles and create some space for our backs. We've got to sustain blocks. Our run game boils down to one thing right now, and that's fundamentals. We're very fundamentally bad up front. And again, because you're talking about a right tackle who has not played ball before our first game. He had not played ball in literally a year and a half, since his last game as a high school player. The center, same way, redshirt freshman, had not played ball in a year and a half. The left guard, we got Quan Stallworth back last year, which I think helped us a little bit, gave us some meat right there on the inside. But Quan Stallworth is very, very inexperienced. And then all of a sudden when Joe Irby went down, we had Ingram Tillard, and he hasn't played ball in game settings. And to be honest with you, he had a migraine most of last week. He didn't practice for 3 days. So we've got to improve from a fundamental standpoint. And any time that you're going to do that, you have to be careful how much scheme you're putting and you're adding on to the game plan. Okay, because it all boils down to, again, your vision of play. Well, how do you practice that? How do you get those reps? How do you get those? Because there's only so many reps you can run at practice. So we've got to consolidate what we want to do from a standpoint of we can get reps and we can rep that play out 4, 5, 6 times during a week. But at the same time, we can't just stay in something. We can't just go, hey man, here it is. This is a run. You know it. I know it. Here it comes. Come get it. Because we're not going to be very successful doing that.